It happened on the 4th of July, 8 minutes before the fireworks. The Whitman house was already buzzing red cups, sweating onto the granite cheap sparklers, hissing on the patio, someone's Bluetooth speaker, coughing out country music too loud for the space. The kitchen lights were harsh, white, unforgiving. They made everything look cheaper than it was. I stood just inside the doorway, holding a small navy gift bag by the rope handles. Nothing flashy, no bow, just something I knew Evan had been asking for all year. My younger brother saw me the moment I stepped in. He didn't smile. He smirked. "Well, look who finally showed up," he said loud enough to turn heads. The ghost of family past. A few people laughed, nervous at first, then louder. I felt the room tilt just slightly, like when an elevator stops half an inch too low. I kept my face still, neutral. I'd practiced that face in mirrors for years. "I brought something for you," I said, and held out the bag. Evan didn't take it. He took the bag, ripped it from my hand, really. His fingers brushed my wrist tight enough to leave heat behind. "Oh, this should be good," he said, lifting it up like a prize. "Let's see what charity case Rachel brought this time." Someone snorted. Someone else raised a phone. The bag crinkled as he peeked inside, his mouth twisted. "Wow," he said. "So generous." He turned, took 3 exaggerated steps toward the sink, and dropped the bag straight into the trash. Didn't even look back, just let it fall plastic thud against old beer cans and paper towels soaked with barbecue sauce. The dishwasher hummed on cue, a low, steady growl, like it was swallowing the moment whole. For half a second the room went quiet. Then my father laughed. Not awkward laughter, not uncomfortable laughter, a real one. "That's my boy," he said, clapping once, slow, deliberate. My mother covered her mouth, eyes bright. "Evan," she said, but she was smiling when she said it. The sound spread, laughter, applause. Someone whistled. Someone else said, "About time." I counted 3 phones pointed at my face. Evan turned back to me, arms wide, soaking it in. Fireworks practice boomed somewhere in the distance, a dry crack in the sky. "Nobody asked you to be here, Rachel," he said. "You always make things weird." He leaned closer, breath sharp with beer. "Honestly, no one would even miss you if you left." That was the first snap. Not loud, not dramatic, just a clean break somewhere behind my ribs. I looked at him, really looked. His shirt was wrinkled. His hairline was farther back than last year. There was a faint smear of mustard on his cuff. I smiled, not the polite one, not the tight one, a calm smile, almost relieved. "Enjoy the fireworks," I said. Then I turned. I didn't rush. I didn't hesitate. I walked past my aunt, frozen by the fridge, past my cousin pretending not to film, past my mother, who suddenly found the countertop very interesting. My coat was still on the back of the chair where I'd left it. I slid my arms in, felt the familiar weight settle on my shoulders. The front door clicked shut behind me. Outside, the air was thick and humid, heavy with cut grass and smoke. The sky flashed red once testing, a preview. I stood on the porch for a second, listening to the laughter restart inside. Louder now, bolder. Then I walked to my car. If you've ever been treated like the extra seat at your own family table, if you've ever been useful but never wanted, go ahead and pause for 1 second. Hit like. Subscribe if you're new. Drop a comment telling me where you're listening from. Because what happened next only makes sense if you've lived the part where you swallow everything and keep showing up anyway. I didn't cry on the drive home. I noticed that right away. Usually something leaked. A breath, a tear, a hand shaking on the wheel. Nothing this time. The highway lights slid past in clean intervals. Yellow, white, yellow, white. My phone buzzed once at a red light. Evan. "You're being dramatic." I didn't respond. Another buzz. "Mom." "You didn't have to storm out like that." I exhaled through my nose. Slow, controlled. At home, my apartment was exactly how I'd left it. Quiet, cool, the soft tick of the wall clock in the living room. I set my keys down, took off my coat, hung it up, then my phone buzzed again. Dad this time. Dad. He was joking. You know how he is. That was the second snap. I leaned against the counter and stared at the reflection in the dark microwave door. My face looked the same, maybe a little older around the eyes. Nothing cracked, nothing broken. "You're too sensitive," my mother used to say when I was 12 and Evan took my birthday money by accident. "He didn't mean it," she said at 16 when he told his friends I was adopted. "Just let it go," she said last year when he forgot my name during a toast. My phone kept lighting up, one after another. Aunt texts, cousin texts, family group chat exploding. Someone sent a laughing emoji. Someone sent a screenshot of the trash can video already posted to Instagram. I watched it once. No sound. My smile on loop. Evan's arms swinging. The bag disappearing. I tapped the screen off. There's a specific kind of silence that comes after humiliation. It's not empty. It's crowded. Every memory presses in at once, demanding a vote. I opened the fridge, took out a bottle of water. The plastic crackled in my hand. For years, I'd been the solution. The fixer, the one who smoothed things over because it was easier than explaining why it hurt. I'd been told I was strong so many times it started to sound like a warning. My phone rang. I let it ring 3 times before answering. "What?" I said. My mother's voice came through tight and high. "Rachel, why would you embarrass us like that?" I laughed. It slipped out before I could stop it. Short, sharp, gone. "I embarrassed you," I said. "You walked out," she said, in front of everyone. I pictured her in the kitchen, arms, crossed lips pressed thin, the way she used to look at me when I didn't clap loud enough for Evan. "He was drunk," she added quickly. "You know how he gets." There it was, the familiar shape of it. I said nothing. "Rachel," she said, "are you listening?" "Yes," I said. "I heard everything." A pause. I could hear dishes clinking in the background. Someone loading the dishwasher, the same hum as before. Then she said it. The sentence she would never take back. "If you didn't want to be treated like that, my mother said you shouldn't have come." I didn't sleep that night, not because I was angry. Anger burns hot. It moves. It spends itself. This was colder than that. I lay on my couch with the lights-off phone face down on the coffee table, listening to the city breathe through the open window. Somewhere someone was still lighting leftover fireworks. The pops came late, scattered like aftershocks. Every time one went off, I saw the trash can lid again. Not the act, the applause. People think the moment you break is loud. It isn't. It's the moment you realize how long you've been broken and nobody cared. By 3:12 a.m., I was sitting up, laptop open, scrolling through a folder I hadn't touched in months. The folder had no dramatic name, just house. Inside were spreadsheets, PDFs, bank statements, screenshots, wire confirmations. Years of them. Clean, time-stamped, labeled. This was the part of the story no one ever wanted to hear, because it ruined the version they liked better. 7 years earlier, my parents had been 3 months from losing that house. They never told Evan. They barely told me. It came out the way everything always did, half a sentence dropped like bait. "We're fine," my mother said on the phone one afternoon. Just a little behind. Behind meant the property tax bill was sitting unopened on the counter. Behind meant my father had taken a short-term loan at a rate that should have been illegal. Behind meant the insurance lapsed for 11 days. I found out because I work in risk, because numbers don't lie when people do. I asked for access, just to look, just to help organize. My father hesitated. My mother sighed. Then the login came through. I remember sitting at my desk at work, fluorescent lights buzzing overhead, pulling up their accounts, and feeling my stomach drop like I'd missed a step on the stairs. Late fees stacked on late fees, medical bills rerouted to credit cards, a second mortgage I hadn't known existed. Evan, meanwhile, was between ventures. That's what they called it. He'd moved back home at 28 with a duffel bag and a pitch deck, took over the guest room, then the den, then the garage. Every failure came with an explanation. Every explanation came with applause. "He's trying," my mother would say. "He just needs one more shot," my father insisted. So I paid. At first it was small. Utilities, insurance premiums, groceries when my mother's card declined. Then it wasn't small anymore. I set up a recurring transfer, $4, $800 on the first of every month, enough to keep everything current, enough to keep the bank quiet, 7 years, 84 transfers. I never announced it, never forwarded receipts, never asked for a thank you. I told myself that was what maturity looked like. But here's the thing. No one tells you about being the quiet one. Silence is easy to misinterpret as absence. At holidays, my father would raise his glass. To Evan, he'd say, "Holding this family together." People would clap, smile, nod. Once an aunt pressed a folded 20 into Evan's hand and whispered, "For everything you do." I watched it happen from the other side of the table, my fork paused halfway to my mouth. The room kept moving. When someone asked what I did, my father would shrug. "She does something with numbers," he said once. "Computers, I think." Conversation over. Evan got advice requests, investment questions, praise. I got silence. Or worse, assumptions. "She doesn't help much," someone muttered at Thanksgiving 2 years ago. "Always so busy." I let it go. Because that's what I'd always done. There was only one person who didn't buy it. Aunt Claire, my father's younger sister. Sharp eyes, quieter than she looked. She cornered me in the laundry room during a family barbecue one summer. Dryer thumping behind us, the smell of detergent thick in the air. "You're paying for everything, aren't you?" she said. Not a question. I didn't answer. She nodded anyway. Thought so. That was it. No lecture, no speech, just recognition. From then on, she watched. She noticed how my mother stopped checking the mail, how my father suddenly slept better, how Evan's lifestyle never matched his income. She saw how I flinched when money jokes landed too close. "Keep your records," she told me once, passing me a plate of food I didn't want. "People forget fast when the lights stay on." So I did. Every transfer, every text asking me to just send it to Evan's account for convenience, every voicemail that started with, "I hate to ask," but I told myself it was insurance. I told myself I was just being smart. But deep down, I think I knew. I think some part of me understood that the story they were telling only worked as long as I stayed invisible. The night after the 4th of July, my phone buzzed again. Evan this time. "Evan, you seriously can't take a joke." I stared at the message until the words blurred. A joke has a punchline. That had been a verdict. I typed 3 words, deleted them, typed again, deleted. Then I locked the phone and set it face down. I walked into my bedroom and opened the closet, reached past coats and old boxes and pulled out a thin binder. Inside were copies of things I hoped I'd never need. Agreements, statements, a few emails printed because sometimes paper feels more real. I sat on the edge of the bed and flipped through them slowly. Page after page of proof that I existed, that I had mattered even if only on paper. The truth wasn't dramatic. It never is. The truth was boring, methodical, relentless. The truth was that the house they were laughing in the kitchen where my gift had hit the trash had been standing on my back for years, and they'd convinced themselves it was theirs alone. My mother called again the next morning. Her voice was softer this time. "Careful. We should talk," she said. "This has gone far enough." I looked at the sunlight crawling across my living room floor, the dust in the air, the quiet. "Yes," I said. "It has." She paused, waiting for me to bend. I didn't. That was the moment something else shifted. Not anger, not revenge, clarity. I realized then that the truth doesn't surface because people are ready to hear it. It surfaces because the person carrying it gets tired of holding it alone, and I was done pretending the imbalance was an accident, because it wasn't. It was a choice, repeated, celebrated, applauded. And the people who benefit from a lie will always call the truth dramatic when it finally speaks. That was the night I stopped asking myself whether they would ever see me, and started asking what would happen when they couldn't ignore the numbers anymore. The thing about leverage is that it doesn't announce itself. It waits. I didn't wake up the morning after the 4th of July thinking about revenge. I woke up thinking about containment, about risk, about exposure. That's what my job trained me to do, look past the noise and find the pressure points. I went to work like nothing had happened. Same elevator, same security badge, same nod to the barista who already knew my order. I sat at my desk on the 22nd floor and pulled up models that tracked catastrophe losses across 3 states, Floods, fires, human error, families imploding weren't my department, but systems failing were. At lunch, my phone buzzed. Evan again. Evan, Mom's really upset. You should apologize. I didn't open it right away. I finished my salad, logged my hours, closed 2 tickets. Then I replied with a single word, Rachel busy. It was true. By Wednesday, the tone shifted. No more jokes, no more minimizing. Now it was concern. Mom, we need to talk about the house. There it was. The house always came out when they were scared. I didn't answer. Instead, I called a woman named Denise Carter. Denise didn't advertise. She didn't need to. She came recommended by 2 senior partners and one woman who'd survived a very ugly divorce with all her assets intact. Denise specialized in asset protection, quiet structures, legal walls built so clean they looked like nothing was there at all. We met in her office on Friday afternoon. No view, no art, just a table, 2 chairs, and a legal pad already waiting. She listened without interrupting while I laid out the facts, not emotions, facts, the transfers, the debts, the pattern. She didn't react when I mentioned the humiliation. She only looked up when I told her about the videos. Public, she asked. Yes. Recorded, yes. She nodded once. Good, she said. That was when I knew I'd come to the right person. Denise didn't talk about punishment. She talked about safeguards. Your parents don't think of the house as an asset, she said. They think of it as proof that they were still respectable, still winning. And your brother, she asked? Thinks it's leverage, I said. She smiled thinly. Then we need to separate access from ownership. We worked for 3 hours. No raised voices, no dramatics, just documents sliding across the table. Clauses drafted and redrafted until the language was surgical. The structure was simple on the surface. A family occupancy agreement layered inside a trust. Clean title, no public spectacle. The complexity lived underneath. Conditions tied to conduct, triggers tied to coercion, revocation mechanisms that didn't require a courtroom showdown. Denise called it defensive architecture. I called it insurance. Will they know I asked? They'll know if they read, she said, which they won't. We filed everything the following Monday, quietly. The paperwork went through without a hitch. The fees cleared. The confirmations landed in my inbox with the same dull thud as every other transaction I'd ever made for them. Nothing changed on the outside. That was the point. I still came to Sunday dinners, still brought wine, still smiled at the right moments. Evans still bragged. This time about a bridge opportunity, a short-term funding round. Big upside, minimal risk. I listened from across the table while he sketched numbers on a napkin he'd already spilled beer on. Just need the bank to move faster, he said. They're being cautious. My father nodded. They don't understand vision. My mother reached for my hand, squeezed it too tightly. You're good with this stuff, she said. You could help. There it was again. I pulled my hand back gently. Maybe I said, send me the details. The emails started coming that night. Forwarded term sheets, half-signed forms, messages that assumed compliance. Evan called twice, left a voicemail once. Just need your name, he said. It's a formality. The house was mentioned casually, like it was a given. Perfect collateral, he said. Rock solid. I forwarded everything to Denise. She replied 10 minutes later. Denise, do not sign, do not comment, let them escalate. That's the hardest part for people to understand. Doing nothing takes discipline. The pressure ramped up exactly on schedule. First, guilt. Mom, after everything we've done for you, then revisionist history. Dad, we always supported your career, then anger. Evan, you're sabotaging me. Each message was another square on the board. I documented everything. Screenshots, timestamps, call logs. No commentary, no replies, just evidence. The videos from the 4th kept circulating. They'd slowed, but they hadn't disappeared. People remembered. Strangers commented things my family refused to say out loud. Why was she treated like that? That was cruel. Where were the parents? My mother stopped sharing posts. My father stopped answering calls. By the 2nd week, the calls changed tone again. Now they were careful. Mom, let's all sit down, clear the air. Dad, we don't want lawyers involved. Evan didn't text. He showed up at my apartment unannounced. I didn't let him in. We stood in the hallway, fluorescent lights buzzing overhead, the smell of someone else's takeout lingering in the air. "You're really doing this?" he asked. "Over a joke." "It wasn't a joke," I said. He scoffed. "You always make everything bigger than it is." That was the line he'd always used when something was about to cost him. "Sign the paperwork," he said. "Then we can move on." I looked at him, at the way his eyes kept flicking to my door, to my space. "No," I said. That was it. One syllable. Clean. His face changed. Not anger. Not yet. Calculation. "You know Mom and Dad can't lose that house," he said. "I know," I said. He smiled. Thin, confident. "They won't," he said. "You won't let that happen." He walked away before I could answer. I closed my door and leaned against it, heart steady. Because for the first time, he was wrong. I wasn't planning to hurt them. I was planning to stop absorbing the damage meant for him. Chess isn't about attacking the king. It's about removing every square he thinks is safe. And they were all still playing checkers, clapping at the noise, convinced the board belonged to them. They had no idea the game had already changed. All they knew was that I'd stopped moving the way they expected. And that, more than anything else, made them nervous. The message came in on a Tuesday afternoon, right when my calendar finally went quiet. No subject line, just an attachment. "Final, please sign." I didn't open it right away. I stared at the file name while the office around me hummed, printers exhaling keyboards, tapping, someone laughing too loud down the hall. Normal life continuing like nothing was about to tip. When I did open it, I didn't read the whole thing. I didn't need to. My eyes went straight to the bottom of page 4. Collateral primary residence, 2147 Meadowbrook Lane. Their house. The one my mother insisted was never up for discussion. The one my father swore was untouchable. My name sat beneath it. Blank. Waiting. That was the moment the air left the room. I closed the document. Didn't save it. Didn't respond. Instead, I forwarded it to Denise with one line. "They're trying to pledge the house." Her reply came 8 minutes later. "Understood. Do not engage. Let it happen. Let it happen." That phrase stuck with me, because what they were doing wasn't a mistake. It was a decision, and decisions have consequences whether you explain them or not. By Wednesday, the tone shifted again. The careful messages stopped. The polite pauses vanished. Now it was urgency. Mom called twice before noon, left one voicemail. Her voice was thin, tight, smiling through her teeth. "We just need to get past this little hurdle," she said. "You know your brother. He's so close." So close had become their favorite lie. At 2:17 p.m., my father called. No greeting. "Why are you doing this?" he said. Not asking. Accusing. Doing what I asked. Acting like you don't know what's at stake. There it was again. The house as a hostage. "I know exactly what's at stake," I said. Silence on the line. A breath. "Then if this falls apart," he said, "that's on you." That was the third snap. Not loud. Final. I ended the call. My phone lit up immediately after. Evan this time. FaceTime. I didn't answer. He tried again, then a text. "Evan, stop being difficult. This is family." I watched the typing bubble appear and disappear 3 times. Then another message. "Evan, you don't want this to get ugly." I smiled. Because it already had. I didn't reply. By Friday, the pressure had turned physical. My mother showed up at my building. I found out because security texted me a photo. She was standing in the lobby with her purse clutched to her chest like a shield mouth pulled tight, eyes scanning every woman who walked by. The caption read, "She's asking for you by name." I typed back, "Tell her I'm unavailable." The guard replied with a thumbs up. Later that night, my Aunt Claire called. "They're panicking," she said. "Your brother's been telling people the bank just needs one more signature." "Mine," I said. "Yes," she said. "And they're telling everyone you already agreed." I closed my eyes. The lie was expanding. That's how it always worked. Say it enough times and wait for me to clean it up. But I was done cleaning. Saturday morning, the final invitation came through. A family dinner. Urgent. Important. Everyone needs to be there. My mother added a heart emoji, like that fixed anything. I didn't respond. They didn't need my answer. They'd already decided I was coming. The dinner was set for Sunday, at their house. The same house they were trying to gamble. I arrived 10 minutes late, on purpose. The dining room was already full, plates clinking, glasses poured too heavy, conversation too loud. Evan was pacing. He stopped when he saw me. "There she is," he said. "I was starting to think you'd grown a spine." I sat down without looking at him. My father cleared his throat. "Let's eat," he said. "We didn't." They couldn't wait. Evan launched into it mid-sentence, hands moving, words tumbling fast. "The investor needs confirmation by Monday," he said. "This is the last hurdle. We just need you to be reasonable." "Reasonable," I repeated. "Yes," my mother cut in. "After everything we've done for you." I looked at her. Really looked. Her necklace. The one I'd bought her for Christmas. The ring she twisted when she was nervous. "You mean after everything I've paid for?" I said. The room froze. My father slammed his fork down. "That's enough," he said. "No," I said. "It isn't." Evan laughed sharp and dismissive. "There it is," he said. "The martyr speech. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't have to. You used my money to keep this house," I said, "and now you're trying to use the house to save him." "That's not fair," my mother snapped. "Then show me the numbers," I said. No one moved. No one spoke. Evan's jaw tightened. "You always do this," he said. "Make everything about control." That was the word he chose. Control. I stood. Slowly. "I'm not signing," I said. The room erupted. My father stood too, face flushed. "You will not ruin this family," he said. Evan stepped closer, voice low. "You don't want to be the reason Mom loses her home." That was it, the line they'd rehearsed. I picked up my coat. "I'm not," I said. "You are." I walked out while they were still shouting. That night the messages stopped. Completely. No guilt, no anger, no pleading, just silence. The kind that only comes when people think they've won. At 6:03 a.m. Monday morning, my phone buzzed once. Denise. They filed, collateral listed, unauthorized, public record. I sat up in bed. My heart didn't race. It slowed, because I knew exactly what that meant. They had done it. They had crossed the line. They had put the house on the table without my consent. And in doing so, they triggered everything. I didn't call them. I didn't warn them. I didn't explain. I opened my laptop, pulled up the documents, and forwarded Denise the final confirmation. Her reply came almost immediately. "We proceed." I stood by the window as the sun came up pale and indifferent, lighting the same neighborhood where they still slept, convinced the worst was over. They thought the pressure had worked. They thought I'd fold. They thought the house was still theirs to gamble. What they didn't know, what none of them knew, was that the moment they tried to use the house against me, they handed me the key, and the door was about to open. The knock came at 7:41 a.m. 3 sharp taps, measured, professional. I was already awake. Denise had told me not to be there, said it was cleaner if I wasn't visible, said enforcement worked best when it felt inevitable, not personal. But inevitability is easier to believe when you see the face of the person who stopped saving you. So I drove over anyway. I parked across the street, engine off, hands resting lightly on the wheel. The Whitman house sat exactly as it always had, trimmed hedges flag on the porch blinds still drawn. Peaceful, innocent, like nothing was about to end. The sheriff stepped back after the knock. A process server stood beside him, clipboard tucked under his arm. Denise was already there, a half step behind them, coat buttoned, hair pulled back, expression unreadable. My mother opened the door in her robe. Her smile appeared automatically, then vanished. "What is this?" she said. The sheriff spoke first. Calm, neutral. The voice of someone who'd done this before. "Linda Whitman. Howard Whitman. We're here to serve notice regarding unauthorized encumbrance of the property at 2147 Meadowbrook Lane." My father appeared behind, her confusion sharpening into anger. "This is a mistake," he said. "We own this house." The process server handed over the packet. Denise didn't speak yet. She didn't need to. My mother flipped through the pages too fast, breath-catching. My father read slower. His mouth opened, closed, the color drained from his face. This says he started. It says Denise cut in gently that the occupancy agreement has been terminated due to breach. The collateral filing triggered revocation. My mother's knees buckled. She didn't fall. She sank, slowly, like someone letting go of a railing they'd trusted too long. Evan burst down the stairs, barefoot, hair-wild phone already in his hand. "What the hell is this?" he shouted. The sheriff raised a hand. "Sir!" "This is fraud," Evan snapped. "She can't do this." He pointed across the street. "At me." I stepped out of the car. Every head turned. The morning air felt clean, cool, honest. I didn't do anything I said. You did. My mother looked up then, really looked, not past me, not through me, at me. "You're throwing us out," she said. Her voice cracked. "After everything." "No," I said. "After everything you let happen." The sheriff cleared his throat. "You have 15 minutes to collect medications, personal documents, and immediate necessities," he said. "Everything else will be addressed later." Evan started yelling. Lawyers, lawsuits, anything that sounded expensive. No one reacted. The words bounced off uniforms and paper and settled uselessly at his feet. Inside the house, drawers slammed, doors opened and closed. My mother cried openly now, loud, uncontained. I stood still, not frozen, anchored. Denise leaned in. "Are you sure you want to be here for this?" I nodded. I needed to see the end. They walked out 20 minutes later with garbage bags and one suitcase. My father carried it. My mother clutched a folder to her chest like a life raft. Evan trailed behind them, phone-dead anger exhausted. No one looked at me when they passed. The locks were changed by noon. By evening, the story had found its way out. It always does. Someone filmed from a distance. Someone else posted a summary that left out names but not details. The comments filled in the rest. People recognized Evan, recognized the house, recognized the pattern. By the next morning, his investor emails had gone quiet. Due diligence has a way of expanding when things get ugly. The bridge funding evaporated, then the follow-ups, then the apologies disguised as scheduling conflicts. My father tried to make calls, old contacts, old favors. Every call ended the same way. "We can't be associated with this." My mother stopped posting entirely. The house went on the market 2 weeks later. I didn't step inside again. I didn't need to. The inspection passed clean. The offers came fast. The sale closed without drama. Numbers moved. Accounts settled. A chapter reduced to line items and signatures. I watched the final confirmation email arrive while sitting at my kitchen table, sunlight warming the edge of the paper beneath my hands. I didn't feel triumphant. I felt finished. The money didn't fix what had already been broken, but it did build something new. I paid off my place, quietly, completely. Then I called Aunt Claire. "I want to do something," I said. She didn't ask what kind. She already knew. We set up a fund, small at first, then larger, enough to matter. A grant for eldest daughters, first-generation students, the ones who learned too early how to be responsible and too late how to be seen. The essays came in waves. I read every one. Stories of girls who paid bills before prom dresses, who were told their dreams could wait, who learned to be useful before they were allowed to be young. I chose 10, invited them over on a Friday night. No speeches, no cameras, just pizza boxes on the counter. Music low, laughter tentative at first, then real. One of them asked me how I did it, how I finally stopped. I thought about the trash can, the applause, the silence afterward. I stopped believing that love was something I had to earn, I said. That was enough. I heard through Claire that my parents moved into a smaller place, that Evan got a job that didn't involve the word founder. They tried to reach out once, a letter, careful handwriting. Apologies stacked like excuses. I didn't open it. Some doors don't need closure. They need distance. On the anniversary of the 4th of July, I sat on my balcony with a glass of water and watched fireworks bloom across the city skyline. They were quieter from up here, softer, less dramatic. I liked it that way. No applause, no humiliation, no one filming, just light, then dark, then light again. Healing doesn't look like forgiveness. It looks like choosing yourself without flinching. It looks like peace that doesn't ask permission. I raised my glass once, not to revenge, to clarity, to the end of paying for lies, and to the beginning of a life where silence wasn't something done to me, it was something I chose.